What is up, everybody? We are ready to go live here on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube all at the same time. So if Facebook decides to cut us at the knees, we're going to still party it up. I've got a few folks here with me. You might have seen them around a little bit in town if you are in the filmmaking space. We've got Chris, we got Kayli, and we've got Eric here. And these guys have been acting for a little bit, for a hot second, if you will. One of the things we want to talk about is, sometimes actors start early. Sometimes they start as early as in diapers, whether it's singing on stage, doing musical theater, doing things in church. They start wanting to perform at an early age, and that just keeps on snowballing, and sometimes it snowballs into a career. And so we're going to be talking to three folks that have learned to embrace that and found their way to make this their full-time gig. So let's go ahead and introduce everybody real quick. Let's start off with Chris. Chris, how you doing? Are you out in LA right now? Where are you at?
No, I'm actually here in Utah, so I'm home right now.
Good. Okay. Yes. Well, Chris, let's go ahead and start with your story real fast. Is that okay, you guys? Okay. Yeah, they're on the bottom. They have to wait. Okay. So, Chris, let's go ahead and start with your story. Where did you begin? Where did you get started in all this film craziness?
All right. So here's my story. Like, earliest I can remember, I was about 5 years old, and here in Lehigh, which is like 20 minutes from where I live, my sister was doing some plays at the Lehigh Arts Center. So it's a really small budget. It's just like a family theater. So my sister did that. And then obviously me being 5 years younger than her, I wanted to do everything she was doing. So I was like, Mom, I want to do whatever that is. I don't know what it is. I want to do it. So I went and I did an audition, and my first ever acting experience in general was on stage. And I played the big bad wolf of was the big bad wolf. And one really memorable experience I have from that is there was one scene where we're there and I'm sitting really close to the audience, and there's this girl, she has to be my age, so about 5 years old. She starts pulling my tail and I get mad on stage. So obviously we couldn't have that, but now I look back at that and laugh. And then, well, anyways, after that, I just kind of fell in love with acting, and I really just loved being on stage at that point. And then I remember one time there was an agent. I can't remember which agent it was, but they told my mom, they were like, hey, your kid has a really good look. He should be on commercials and stuff. So we went for an audition, and I believe my first ever acting gig was for Intermountain Healthcare. And I actually got to do it with my parents. So I was around 7 years old, 5 to 7 years old. I can't remember the exact age. And I just loved it. And having my parents there for my first time really helped me. I just had so much fun being on camera. Like, I just felt like I was being able to play. And I just had such a good experience with that, and I wanted to do more and more of it. So I kept auditioning. I signed up with an agency, and I don't know, that's just kind of how my story started, and I'm still doing it today. I really do love it, and I just love the community that Utah has for film, commercials, and actors and everyone involved in the film industry.
Yeah, well, that's a good story to hear. I bet you it's going to sound very familiar. Kayli, let's go ahead and hit on yours real quick. Did you have a lot of the similarities? Did you have a sibling that was involved and you said, you know what, if they're going to do it, I'm going to do it too? But what is your story?
So I didn't have a sibling. I'm out here being an only child, so it's kind of my experience. And for me, as long as I can remember, when I was very little, I just remember watching TV shows and movies and remembering how they would make me feel and how they would impact me and how I wanted to be those people on the screen and how the actors would make me feel. And I was like, even though I was young, I was like, I think this is something that I really want to do. And when I hit about the fourth grade, I went to my mom and I was like, hey, I kind of want to try this acting thing out. I don't really know how to do it, but I want to try it out. And so she was like, all right. So we went down to go get me just some classes. And it turned out the place I went to was an agency. And they were like, hey, we would love to have her and represent her if you guys want. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. I was like, please, please, please. And so we signed up through there, and I kind of just started taking, lessons, and I just started falling more in love with the craft. And even at that young age, I knew that this is what I wanted to do and what I wanted to make my career and literally do for the rest of my life. And it really solidified it when my first kind of experience was on a movie called The Christmas Project. And I I just remember watching all of like the leads and like them doing all of their cool stuff. And I was like, like this is what I do. This is what I want to work towards and be able to do. I want to be like them.
Fantastic. Now, when we're talking about starting young, though, I think Eric takes the cake here. Eric, give me nobody's heard of the Osmonds, apparently. I don't know if you guys have lived in Utah. There's this group that was called the Osmonds back like a million years ago. And then Eric's kind of the sire of that prodigy. But let's go ahead and give a little bit of your background, Eric.
So I didn't really have a choice when it came to being in the industry. It was kind of I was on stage in diapers. You're a baby at that point, and that was my childhood. My whole childhood was going to school, and then after school we were on stage the rest of the day. So it was really fun. Sometimes twice a day, and that was my upbringing in Branson, Missouri. If you guys have ever been there, it's a really cool town. We had a whole family theater and everything.
All right. Well, we're going to do a little check here. I'm going to do a little troubleshooting here. Dora's watching this along with us, and she's saying she's having some issues hearing it. So we're going to just take a look. If anybody who's watching this right now, are you having any issues hearing this right now? It could just be that she's not clicking on something. See here, when you click on a video, you can't hear them speaking or picture. The mics are turned off, or maybe her sound's turned off. Are you guys able to hear us okay? And Angie says she can hear us. Okay, so I'm going to assume it's all good. I'm just going to text her real quick because this is what a good husband does. Viewers are saying they can hear. They can hear. All right. If you don't respond to your spouse, you're in big trouble. Just saying. That's just a life lesson. See, every time you showed a pic, the sound went away. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. I understand what that means. Okay. I know how to fix that in the future. Okay, thank you guys. All right, it's a Warren programmed it bad thing. Okay, I got you. Yeah, Angie's mentioning it, and Dora's going to be mentioning it here in her text. I could tell. All right, when you show pictures, the sound pauses. Yep, that makes sense. Now I know what's going on. All right. Okay, so let's talk about it. We can hear just fine. That's what. Yep. She's saying the same thing. So let's go ahead and hit on a couple other questions here. You guys all started off pretty young, but has acting always been easy for you? Has it always just come without any, any stress? You're always direct hires. Let's go ahead and start with you, Eric, because I made you wait for the last one. Tell me about has it always been easy for you to always book and just be so busy all the time you don't even know what to do with yourself?
I think it kind of comes and goes. I think for everybody, there are times when you hear of people have just constantly doing things, and then there's those slumps, and it's feast or famine, the business itself. In any phase of entertainment in any style, I think it has that feast or famine element. But there have been times where it's been like that, and there have been times where it hasn't. So I think that goes for everybody. It's unique for everybody in their story. So some people just constantly book for forever, it never stops.
Is that the way it is for Kayli? Does Kayli just book for everything? She doesn't even have to audition anymore. It's just always just direct bookings. Is that how it's working for you too? You started out young, right? So you don't even have to audition anymore.
Oh, I wish, man. I wish that would be so nice. For me, I think, kind of getting into it and not really knowing how everything worked and kind of really what that building up that talent was like. It took me a little while to kind of get into that and understand what it took and what you had to bring to the table to be able to be booking auditions.
Okay. But Chris, though, he's off in LA for Pete's sake. That's where that's La La Land. That's where it's constantly having opportunities. So obviously he's always booked then, right? You never have a downtime.
Oh, I wish. So it's kind of funny. So kind of what you guys were talking about, getting like, I guess just instantly booked. So when I was little, auditions when we were at that age, all you had to do was show up, be cute, which for us was fun. You didn't know what you're doing. You literally just got there and they're like, you're cute. I want you. Then as I kind of got older, auditions, I guess, were easy. I actually really enjoyed auditions as a kid. I had fun with them. I didn't really get nervous. And then that's kind of how it stayed. I was booking jobs on and off. And then I moved to LA. And that was like a massive wake-up call for me. Everything is so different there. Because, here in Utah, at least when I first started out, I had a very unique look. And when I moved to LA, you walk into an audition room and boom, there's 50 other kids that look exactly like you. So suddenly it's not just looking cute. It's not just having a specific look. You got to show them that you are the best look for that. And you also have the skills and the talent and I guess just the experience that they're looking for. So you can't really just go based on your look now. So, yeah.
Now, that's one of the things I hear a lot, especially when you start off as kids, you're booking because you have that look. You got that adorable factor, but just like any animal, after they grow after a puppy stage, they just don't get used as often. So you guys aren't the cute little puppies anymore, right? You're not the adorable little kids with the pretty little cheeks and the grandma wants to do this sort of thing. You can't do that anymore. Otherwise, it's kind of weird, and people give you the side eye. So my question is, how do you guys adapt to that? Is there a certain time in your development where you're saying, okay, I got to stop being the cutesy kid, and now I got to really work on my chops? And when you guys, like, what was that switch that said, you know what, this is where I got to make that change? Any of you guys want to jump in on that one?
I think for me personally, that switch definitely happened maybe about 2 years ago when I was starting to get auditions like very, very frequently, and they were coming through, and it wasn't, the auditions for the cute little girl anymore. It was, auditions for like these really big high school roles or these like dramatic roles and like things like that. And so I think I realized, it was time to flip that switch and take it in a different kind of serious direction and branch off from just using like a cute look to get me my jobs.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Eric? Same sort of question. You actually started more of a musical side of things, correct?
Yeah.
So when you're deciding, because you still do a lot of music, and you're trying to balance the music with the theater or with the film. When did that switch happen for you, where you're like saying, was it at age 2, 3?
When my family moved to Utah, I guess when that switch happened. You never know.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, for now, I'm starting to get more dad roles as far as film is concerned. Like, I never had that opportunity. I had that recently with the film called Grandpa's Crazy, where I play a father figure. That was my first time being a dad, so that was pretty cool. I wasn't ready for that next chapter switch, but here we are. I still have a gig coming up where I'm also a high school student coming up, so I'm kind of right in that pocket right now. So it's there was definitely a switch, at least from music to acting eventually, but best of both worlds currently right now. So it's pretty cool place awesome. To be in.
It's awesome. Now we got some more questions coming in. Ella French is over here. She has a really good comment here. She says, I have friends in the business, and I used to get up at 5 a.m. And I'm going to move this over so it's not covering up my mouth. There we go. They'd get up and do a paper route in the morning before she went to work. He did this route to have money to pay the rent. Have you guys ever had that point where you guys are just like, man, I don't know what's going on. I'm working so hard, but I'm just not able to pay the bills. Now, except for Eric's situation, I think Chris and Kayli, you still have family right there that is able to support you. But when you're getting into these famine modes, what's going through your head? Are you starting to have the second guessing, a lot of self-doubt? What's happening in your guys' heads?
I guess I can start. So, I mean, as I'm still 17, so I live with my family still. So luckily for me, I've been fortunate enough where I don't have to worry about bills or anything like that. But now that I've been in high school, I've definitely been thinking more about money. So actually, luckily, throughout the years, I've saved up enough money. So I was able to buy my first car without any sort of loan all by myself, just through money I've saved up from doing different commercials and different gigs. So that was really good. And I was really proud of myself for that. But there's times where I will get jobs. I mean, I usually get a job about at least monthly. But as anyone in the industry knows, it's not like a fixed scheduled you get paid. So sometimes I have to pay for gas. And I mean, I'm in high school, so I don't make that much money in general. And I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, well, my next paycheck could not be here for 3 months. I have less than $2 in my account. What am I going to do? So I started a detailing business. So I detail cars on the side right now. So that's how I make money when I'm not waiting for acting. But you can't lose hope. I mean, there's other times where I don't get auditions and then I don't have customers for my detailing. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I just try not to lose faith. And I just think next time you're gonna be on set is so fun. And I don't know, I just really keep faith and think about what I'm really doing this for, not really the money. I'm really just doing it just for the experience of being on set and telling a story in other means. So I mean, that's really what keeps me going.
I like that because what we're doing here as creatives is it's not your normal 9 to 5, right? You're not going in, just put in an 8-hour day, punch your paycheck, and you get your, even your minimum wage job salary. It's not happening. So you guys have to be flexible with what's going on. How do you keep flexible, Kayli, whenever you're not currently in a booking? What are you doing to either prep for that next job or even just pay the bills for right there?
Just like Chris, I'm really lucky myself. I'm 17, so I still live at home and I have a lot of that stuff provided for me, which is really, really nice. But I think for me, it's a big thing of just like realizing that the schedule of in which you get your paychecks and everything is going to be crazy. And like Chris said, it's literally never going to be the same. And so I think it's just realizing like, I'm not really in it for the money. I'm in it for the experience. I'm in it to do the job that I love and continue to do the job that I love. And so I think it's kind of just realizing, taking a step back and being like, okay, like at this current moment in time, this situation, I'm fortunate enough to not have to be super stressed about when that next paycheck is going to come. And so for me, it's just a matter of kind of stepping back and being like, hey, whatever happens is going to happen.
Now, one of the things I see your comment still there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that for a second. So one of the things that we need to talk about, though, is there's some stigma that comes around with being a child actor. Okay, now, this wasn't any of the prep questions, and I apologize for that. But when people are thinking, well, if my kid's going to get into the whole acting thing, I've heard horror stories of really rotten things that happen on set. What do you guys do, or what do you guys do to protect yourselves as young actors on a set to make sure that you're never put into any dangerous situations, into compromising situations? Do you guys have like an overall game plan whenever you guys show up on set to make sure everything is safe, especially being minors, or when you were younger? What did you guys do to make sure that was a safe place?
I'll start off with this one. For me, I think it's just really about, kind of standing your ground and letting the people you're working with and the projects that you're working on know what you're comfortable with and what you are not comfortable with, and knowing that it is okay to say no. And if there's something that makes you uncomfortable or you don't really know for sure how you feel about it, it's okay to pull the director aside and say, hey, this is something I really don't feel comfortable doing. Can we modify this in any way? And I think it's realizing that like you don't have to have every job, and if there's a job that makes you feel uncomfortable and doesn't feel right, it's okay to say no.
I like that. Same thing for you guys? Guys feeling the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So luckily, when I was growing up, my mom was there for me every step of the way. So she'd be there, audition sets. So she would always keep a close eye on me, especially when I was just starting out and I wasn't doing such like, I guess, big production, style shoots anymore. Or I mean, at the time, I wasn't doing such big style shoots. So having my mom there, she kept a very close eye on me, and she was just there with me the whole time. So I never really felt in danger, I guess. And if she did feel something off, even if I didn't notice, she'd be like, okay, we're done with that. This is not a good environment. And now luckily for me, I'm with a really good agency. So I know every time I go, it's a trusted company and I always feel welcome. I don't feel in danger. But if I do notice something, I guess, keep my guard up, keep a lookout. And like Kayli said, I agree. You have more direct power as an actor than you think. So if there's something in the production going on that you're just simply not comfortable with, it's okay to pull the people that are in charge aside and say, hey, I don't want to do this. I'm not comfortable with this, and see what accommodations they can make for you.
Now, Eric, we just got a comment up here from Sean Stevens, who's also growing up. Yeah, he also grew up in acting. He mentioned the bad things seldom happen on set. Now, Eric, you have had probably the most experience as far as being in this performing space the longest. Do you find that to be true? Is it usually the set where there's not usually a problem? It might be somewhere else, or maybe you didn't even experience it.
Yeah, as far as location goes, I mean, there's always something that could go wrong, whether on or off set. All I can say is, keep your manager or agent close. Shout out to Michelle. But yeah, I mean, I've never calculated which one has more problems on or off set. I've usually had pretty smooth productions, minus a few situations, but it's usually taken care of before it happens, I would think, as far as my part of it goes as an actor.
I do like that. I like that a lot of that's been taken care of. You're not even having to deal with that as an actor. You're able to go in there, just focus on your performance, give the very best you can give right there, and not have that be an obstacle in the way. I just wanted to make sure that got talked about real quick, because I know there's people in the Utah Filmmakers Group that are going to say, why didn't you talk about this? Well, we did. Now we can move on to some more happier things. I got a comment over here. We're going to pop over here to time. What do you guys think about that when you're trying to balance that public school life with your friends and trying to still be in a public eye doing very public things with performing? How do you find that balance? How do you deal with that?
If you go ahead, Eric.
You go ahead, Chris. You're good.
All right, Chris, go for it.
So I feel like I have some experience with this. So I went into middle school, and I'm still friends with my friends that I was in middle school. So starting out with that, I did actually try to hide it quite a bit because I was worried what they'd say. And I guess so when I started making my acting Instagram, all my friends obviously followed me on Instagram. So me and my mom made my page and we'd post together. Obviously my mom would monitor what I'd post, but they would tease me like quite, not a lot, I would say, but enough to the point where it made me really like not want to open up to them anymore. Almost to the point where I was embarrassed of what I did. And that almost carried into high school as well. But I guess as we've gotten older, they've been actually really supportive. They're always asking me like, oh, where's your next thing? And I mean, still sometimes it happens. We have group chats. They send my posts, kind of laugh at it. But I've learned that there's more ways of support. And they're just really just like, they cheer me on. They really do. And I can say, oh, they're just laughing at it. It's fine. But I did struggle with that. So I think it's just up to you to find good friends that will actually support you for what you're doing and not let the negative comments get to you too much. Because I did struggle with that. I do remember crying one time because they were pretty hard on me that one time. But yeah, just choose your friends. Yeah.
And Eric, you had something to chime in on that as well.
Oh, I just wanted to give a shout out to Jagger. That's Jagger's mom. She's super cool. He's super cool. I got to work with them on a recent film, again, the Grandpa's Crazy film, where he played a part that was pretty close to my character, and so I got to meet him. And I can say that junior high kids aren't very nice in general. I think that's when everybody's trying to figure out their stuff, and so all I can say is kind of seconding what Chris was talking about and keeping it close. Eventually they'll understand. A lot of it could be jealousy. You're kind of like you're doing something outside of school, and because of that you're going to be picked on. At least that was my experience as well. So it's tough, man. But he's a great kid. He'll make it through really strong. I have very high hopes for and expectations for Jagger. He's super cool.
Yeah, he'll be on this panel here soon, I'm sure. Talking
if
about.
I could add one more thing to that.
Absolutely,
one thing that also helped me going, especially in high school. They tease you about it. Just remember, you're gonna have way more chances of making more than they will at their high school jobs in a month, in like 8-hour days. So just keep that in mind too.
That's right. You're just going to be flexing on them right there. That's all.
Yeah,
good.
Flex.
You're going to flex on them a little bit. Okay. I'm going to fix something right now. We got another comment, but I'm going to make sure my audio is actually working now. So here we go. I'm going to test something. Okay. Now you should be able to hear me. And you should also be able to hear the interviewees. I think I fixed it. Kim says, what is the best, most supportive thing your parents do for you? Good question, Kim. Let's have Kayli, if you could answer that one. What is one of the most supportive things your parents do for you in this career?
I think a huge thing is they're always, willing to come to sets with me, and they're always willing to help me out with auditions and, help me out with if I need to like practice a scene for a workshop or for class. I've been really, really lucky in the parents department. They've been crazy, crazy supportive of me from the absolute beginning. And so I think it's just really nice to know you have someone in your corner, and just having them be willing to come to these long, long days on sets with me has been a huge thing for me, showing me like how supportive they are and that they, trust that this is what I want to do.
I love it. I love it. I think that's a fantastic question. We do have another comment that's come through. If we want to take a look at this, it's over on YouTube. Out. Eric, what advice would you give an 11-year-old just starting out?
Just starting out? Gosh, that's a very tender age, really sensitive time. I would say don't be so hard on yourself. Don't let them be hard on themselves either. I mean, it's a numbers game. That's a really comforting thing that I learned a long time ago, that, auditioning is a numbers game. Just keep doing it, keep pushing, keep swimming, as Finding Nemo. That's a really great thing that I've taken with me. Just keep swimming, keep doing it, and it works out. It really does. Persistence.
I agree. You guys have anything else to add on that one? For an 11-year-old starting?
I think just making sure, like, have fun with it. Take it seriously, but like Eric said, don't be too hard on yourself. Find it fun and go out there and enjoy it and enjoy what you're doing. And I think that you will see the most payoff if you go out there and enjoy it.
I agree 100%. We do have another question that just came through. This is more of a comment than a question. At a time when the Osmonds were very, very well known throughout the world, they were going to public school. How did that work?
For more details on that, I would say go check out my dad's play.
That's right. Isn't that happening out in the UK?
Yeah, it's currently in the UK in the Ireland tour, but he's expanding. Hopefully it'll be in the US. I'm super excited to see it myself. But they talk about a lot of things in their childhood growing up, and hopefully that's mentioned, because he mentioned only a few times that he was actually in public school. But I do know that they were regularly doing it privately for their schooling, because they were such it didn't work out on a public scale very, very frequently. So when they were in school, it was tough. I do recall that. So really tough time.
That's very good. We'll have to have your dad talk about that some other time. But this is all about you guys. So that's what I really want to focus on, is you guys. Let's talk about, real quickly, what are some of the most rewarding moments you've experienced as an actor? And this is it could be a moment on set, probably on set, a relationship that you made during the whole entire production thing that's led to more unique life experiences, any of the above, any of those moments that just really shine for you.
I have two that come to mind that I can start off with. I think my first one that ever comes to mind was just kind of booking my first big job, which was on a film called City of Salt. And I think for me, it was really rewarding to be on a set and, have lines and stuff and kind of be one of those characters. And it was a really rewarding moment and, kind of made me want to push my career even farther. And the second one that kind of comes to mind is seeing myself on the big screen in theater for the first time. That happened recently with my most recent film that I just did called Never Seen Again. And it was really rewarding for our premiere when we had it in theaters to be able to see myself on the big screen in one of those parts. It was really cool.
That does sound really cool. Chris, how about you? What was one of those big moments that you're like, this is cool, I'm doing this forever?
Yeah, so one that really comes to mind is actually, I think it happened last year or the year before last. So it was fairly recent. And I was on set, and it was supposed to be a really deep, emotional, I guess, scene. And I was kind of having trouble connecting with myself. So I started thinking about, It is weird. I didn't think of a thing that to make me sad or to make myself seem more like connected. What I thought about is, what is acting? What am I doing right now? And I just thought about it, and then I realized a teacher, an acting coach I had in LA told me that it really just nailed in the idea that acting is a form of storytelling. And in that moment, I realized that what I'm doing is not working, but I'm telling a story in ways other than my words or writing. And that really just clicked with me. And I just had like a revelation right there on set in front of the camera. And that's kind of when I realized, I was like, okay, I now realize what acting is, what I'm doing. I don't know why it took me so long to realize, but in that moment, I just felt like, I fell in love with it all over again. And it kind of inspired me to just push myself harder. So I'd say that's probably the most rewarding experience I've had as an actor.
Fantastic. And Eric, what was that heartwarming moment where you're just like, I'm doing this forever. I'm not going to do anything other than be a performer.
Gosh, I don't know if it's like a one-time hit, like a smack in the face, like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm going to do forever. But there's been some really cool opportunities that I've had in this industry, mixed with music even. I would say and it's happened a few times, where I get to play myself in a film, in a production, casted as Eric Osmond. Like that was probably those moments where it's like, wow, if people see me as somebody that I can just be myself in a production, I must be doing something right, or at least, living up to that. But that creates, this self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing on a psychological level. And it's just really profound. And then it's kind of, shows itself over and over again. And it's just like, okay, wow, I got to keep doing this. And that's what kind of pulled me into that, I would think.
It's like an all-encompassing, like multiple things just keep on reminding you, keep re-edifying that this is the right path for you.
Right. Must be doing something right, I guess. Yeah.
I love it.
Really
Okay, cool. We got another comment here. World. I'm adding words, but you guys you guys were still around when we started doing the live in-person auditions before this whole pandemic thing went crazy. And now you guys are all becoming professionals. Even Eric's got that blue screen behind him. So what is it that you guys, how do you guys transition from doing those in-person auditions to doing the virtual? And what tips would you have for young actors that are looking at having to do more and more of these virtual auditions?
Sorry. Oh, okay. You asking me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say have a great reader, man. Shout out to Pepper. She's always reading with me, and I frankly love pre-recorded or recorded auditions. I did not really ever click with the Michelle's coming there. Yeah. I would say that it gives you that chance to really nail it down. As long as it's on a live Zoom audition, get a blue wall, like you were saying. Getting a wall helps. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of like tips and tricks I could say that would help build up that confidence as far as memorization tricks. I have a good buddy of mine who does TED Talks, and he travels the world and teaches on memory. He's taught me a few things, and having your lines solid really helps create that confidence. Dressing the part, being ready, and just being fully involved. I think you can do that either live or pre-recorded. Sorry, I kind of drifted there. I'm not quite sure.
No, I think you're exactly on the right topic here, because what we're talking about here is when you have your live or your virtual. So if you're doing the Zoom call, for example, and you were mentioning that, I mean, is it really that different from doing a in-person audition?
Well, you're talking about, okay, so live versus pre-recorded, sending it in, you mean? They're
Correct.
Both recorded. Okay. Either way, a live audition, Zoom or not, is still a live audition in my mind, to which you need to have that perfect performance, so it would seem, because if they don't ask you to do it again, then that's either you got it, you got the part, or they just don't. They're not. You didn't get the part, because if they ask you to do it again, that's a great thing for those who are wondering, who are just getting involved in the business. If the casting director or the people watching you say, "Hey, can you try it again this way?" That's a great situation. So you get that interaction while in a live situation, but not when you're sending in your videos. So I do like that part of it, when they want it to be done a different way and you had no idea that's where you wanted it to go. So where they wanted it to go. So
now, one of the things I would think that if you could do a pre-recorded version, you could do it as many times as you need to until you get the very best performance. Do you guys do that? Do you guys like record like 5, 6, 7, 100 times until you really nailed what you think that they want? I'm seeing just every single head doing this. That's pretty overwhelming right there. And that's one of the cool things about the whole virtual auditions is you can just do it as many times as you want. And you don't even have to, like, it's digital. It doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do is just keep doing it over and over and over again until you get the version you like. So I like that a lot. I like this comment that we have popping up here. This is funny. Okay. Love the dynamic between Eric and Pepper. I think you two need your own show. But that's only funnier when we see Pepper replies, "Me too."
I would pay money to watch it.
I would pay some money to watch that too. That'd be funny to see. Eric, do we have an Eric and Pepper show on the horizon then? Is that what we can expect?
We actually, yes. So we can talk more about that later, but there's some funny stuff where, yes.
I love it. All right. I'm going to see if we have anybody else popping on here. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm going to pop over here. I'm going to pop that one off real quick too. Laura has a follow-up question. She says, she would love to hear the memorizing tricks or maybe a show on that. Is there a memorizing trick you can share that's like pretty quick that we can share on this broadcast that any of you guys have learned over the years?
I think it's obviously different, and it's going to be different for every person because every person's, kind of brain functions differently in those types of situations. But I think a lot of the time is just reading over your sides quite a few times to just get really familiar with it, because I think being familiar with it is the first step to having a great memorization. And then once you're familiar with it, you can really go in there and grind those exact specific, words and those exact phrases and get them correctly. But I think a big first step is just get yourself really, really familiar with the script and with the vibe.
Gotcha. Chris, what tips do you have that you would say, you know what, this is the one thing that saved me?
Yeah, so I agree with Kayli. It's really different depending on the person and how your mind functions, I guess. What I find really helps for me is the second I read the script, when I do my first cold read, I try to read it as close to like, what did those words mean to me and how do they feel? So what I mean by that is I would try to memorize the words, how I'm going to deliver it. And with that, even if I don't remember the exact words, I remember the emotion, I remember the tone, and I guess the delivery. So I try to memorize my delivery first and the feeling behind that before the actual words, because even if I don't remember what to say next, I remember how I'm supposed to feel next or how I'm supposed to react next. And that kind of helps me remember my lines. So that might not work for everyone, but that's what I found for me has been definitely the most help.
I like that very much. Now, Eric, do you have any other tips? One of the things I like that you brought it up is with a Zoom call, you can actually get that note saying, hey, can you do this differently? And that's why the Zoom calls are pretty cool. But what tips would you have if you are just trying to memorize those lines for that first role? What would you do to come at that project?
So I use several different techniques depending on the gig, depending on the opportunity. One, I have a geographical type of memory, so I can tell you where I'm facing, my body language. So it's kind of like a dance. If you mix like a physical motion with a word, you can actually like if I say it like this and I do that at the same time, I say the same word the same way every time. That's you're connecting a physical motion to a word, so that kind of sears it together. One that my buddy, and his name is Bob Cattell, he teaches on memory. One of his other things is that if you connect two things together, you can connect two other things together, and then you connect these two together. So there's several different techniques. But as far as keeping it simple and answering that, because it's really like what Kayli was saying, it's unique for everybody. But Chris actually nailed it for a big one for me on that, which is you hit the emotion. And so if you record yourself doing your lines, and you see yourself doing it, not only does that also connect the visual, but you can also remember your tones while you said it in the video. So you play that video over and over and over again. You play it fast, you play it slow, and you just memorize yourself doing the performance. And that's one way, a really great way of doing that, connecting the emotion.
I've never heard of that before, the kinetic motion. Have you guys ever tried that before? I've never done. I have the worst memory. I was off doing an event earlier and I could not remember this person's name to save my life. They had to say it 4 times. And I felt rude that I had to ask him 4 times. I have no good memory. So the fact that you guys can remember that is fantastic. I love that we come at different techniques so that you guys can actually do that too, which is cool. This is a really good question over here. Alicia Farmer asks the question, what is your dream role? That's a good question. My dream role is a cinnamon bun with bacon on it. And that's my dream role.
I want to work with the farmers.
Yeah, you want to work with the
that's my dream
farmers.
role.
They've got a lot of different projects coming on right now. Kayli's done it.
Awesome.
Kayli's worked with them on 2 projects now, right? Have you done 2?
Yeah, they're absolutely amazing. Highly recommend.
5 out of 5 stars. Would recommend on Yelp. This is great. Chris, what is that dream role you're hoping to get?
To be honest, I don't have a specific one, but I don't know. I've always wanted to be in a Western. I just think that'd be so cool. I think it's a really cool time period, and just the environment of those films and just the way they're filmed. I don't know. It just really speaks to me. So my dream role is to be like a main lead in a Western. I don't care if I'm the hero or the villain. I just want to be in one.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. I like this tip that Sean just had. This is Sean Stevens again. You might have heard of him from a couple soap operas. Sean, were you in Days of Our Lives? Was that the one, the long soap opera? Anyway, I don't know my soaps, but I feel like that's what the one it was. Or it's Young and the Restless or something. Again, don't know my soaps. Know your character's intentions and visualize the scene in your mind, and the words follow suit. Let's say that again. Know your character's intentions and visualize the scene in your mind, and the words follow suit. I think that nails it really on the head. It's get back to the core of who your character is, get you into the mind of your character, which is what Chris even hit on again. Just really saying, why are we saying those words? What is the intention behind it? What is it that the character wants? And all that important stuff. Fantastic. All right, I'm going to scroll through here a little bit more. Oh, we got Kim. Kim's just saying she hopes to work with you talented people soon. Very good. Sean's giving me some validation. I was correct. All right.
And Sean.
All right, let's see here. Alicia, oh, we love you all. Look at all these fun comments we're getting up in here. I like this. I like that we can do this. Okay.
I have a comment. Could I share really quick?
No, yes, go ahead.
All right. So referring to what Sean Stevens said, one thing that an acting coach told me that really stuck with me, I mean, a lot of people say that acting is becoming a different person. I disagree with that. I think the way she explained it was, it's leaving pieces of yourself behind and filling those pieces with pieces of the character. So I would say you put that character into yourself rather than just becoming that character. And I feel like for me, that just makes acting a whole lot easier and feel more real to me. And when I think about that, is how I feel I give my own best performances. So that's just what I wanted to share.
So it's more like how you were interpreting it into your being that character. So it's not necessarily who that character would be, but how you would interpret that character to be.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. I dig it. All right. We got Michelle's over here. She's got a question for us now. She says, when did you decide that acting was no longer just a fun childhood hobby, but what you wanted to do with your life? And I think we hit on this a little bit, but let's go ahead and recap it because she may not have been here at the very beginning, or I could have just had all sorts of technical issues. Who wants to tackle that one first?
I can.
Go for it.
I think for me, I kind of realized it pretty early on. I think being on the City of Salt set is what really, really solidified that for me, and being one of the supporting actors on set was a really big thing that just solidified that for me and made me realize wow, this is something that I really want to pursue. This is what I want to make my job. I don't want to work that, casual 9-to-5 desk job that everyone does. I want to do this. I want to make my career making other people feel things, because that's something that I always growing up admired from other actors. And so I think that kind of time period, so towards the end of middle school for me, 8th grade, is when that switch in my brain kind of really happened and made me realize this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to make my career.
I love it. Chris or Eric?
I would agree. I think it was about middle school, and I realized that this is something that I could do and actually enjoy.
Very cool. Eric's like, I was 2.5, 3. Something like that.
That was my upbringing. I didn't really have a choice, but
I had no choice in this option. I had to continue the legacy.
I tried to get out of it a few times. I'm being honest, but it keeps pulling you back. It's
like a mafia sort of deal. All right. Alicia's got a good question here. How do you handle negative feedback or constructive criticism? Either way, it could be negative or it could be positive. Good question either way. I'm going to have Eric start with that one because he looks like he's ready.
Again, shout out to Pepper. She's my assistant, and recently we actually got married, so that's pretty cool. Really cool story about that. But she was my assistant for 2 years before, that new chapter. And one thing I can say is if you can have somebody close to you that you can always go to as far as a concern, that you trust, that you know that they will punch you in the gut when you need it, and that they will be honest with you and say, yeah, you did horrible, or no, you did great, you're fine. That's them. That's on them. She's very good at kind of like talking, if you have somebody who can help you talk those demons out of your head, then criticism is literally just taking advice from somebody who you don't even respect them to go for advice anyway. So having somebody say something that is not, somebody you would go to for advice, like a critic in some kind of way, then that's just people who are sharing their insecurities, and that really, that you don't need to take that personally.
I agree. I think that's probably the best I've ever heard of that. I'm actually going to write that down. I'm going to go back and watch this video.
Dora.
I'm going
to write Dora.
Yeah, right? Dora's smart. She keeps me sane on stuff like that.
She's great.
Yeah, they hate us because they ain't us. That's what I keep hearing. So, okay. Another question. This one comes from Lucas. Lucas Hardy says, what are some of the things to be cautious of for young actors? My daughter's getting more and more into acting. Good question. What are some things that, parents that are brand new, they don't know anything about acting. What are some things that they should be aware of that might be a concern for a 8-year-old on set for a 12-hour day in the middle of the night and it's -2 degrees outside? What are some of the concerns that they may have?
I think just knowing the production that you're working with in the company is a really big thing. I would say for the parents, do your research is a really big thing. Know who you're working with, know who's on set, and know if that's a environment that you are comfortable and wanting to have your child in.
Yeah, absolutely. I have 3 kids right now. And there's a few people I know without any doubt in my mind. I have no problem taking my kids over there. If it's one of Brian Bruff's sets, John Light's sets, Garrett Batty's sets, Alicia Farmer's, J.D. Allen's, any of those guys, I'm totally fine with bringing my kids there. I'm not worried about my kids there. There's some other folks that I hear horror stories on. I've never worked with those people yet, so I don't know. But I'd say the majority of filmmakers, if they've made more than one film, they probably got a decent reputation because people want to work with them more than once. That's my 2 cents on that. Okay, more questions. I love this interactive part. If you're watching this thing and you're wondering, are these all pre-picked questions? No, you guys are asking these in the comments section, whether you're on Twitch or on Facebook or on YouTube. And so here's another one of those right here. Emily Hurd asked, what made you want to keep acting? Good question all the way around. What makes you guys want to keep acting? They don't. They don't want to. That's why they're not jumping in on that one. They're like, I'm just waiting for this video to end and I'm going to quit. I'm going to go become a dentist.
Oh, yeah. So I'll start with this. Sorry, I had to think for a sec. So there's actually been times where I consider, I was like, is this really what I want to do? And I mean, there's even some times where like, there was times in my life or in my career where I just didn't really enjoy it for a little bit. And then I just had to take some time for myself and really think about it. And then I just realized that the feeling I get when I'm actually on set, it's a lot of work being an actor before you're even on set. There's so much prep work just going into auditions and being ready to even go on a set. But I feel like once you actually book a role and once you're actually on set, the feeling you get's unmatched, and it's really worth all the struggle you have to go through before. So I think that's really what keeps me going, is just that feeling of actually getting a job and doing the job. There's just nothing like it.
Cool. Kayli, Eric, anything else to add?
I'm very similar to Chris in the way it's just kind of how it makes me feel. And I think it's something, you go through little phases here and there where you definitely question it and you think, oh, is this actually what I want to do? And I think for me, I just, I stay doing it because I love the feeling of going to those sets and I love the feeling of portraying these characters and being able to feel their emotions. It's a really cool thing. And so I think for me, the feeling is just, it's what keeps me doing it.
Very good. Eric, any last comments on that one? Because I have a follow-up question afterwards. So.
Oh, okay. I won't take too long then. I would say that it's both an escape and an adrenaline rush for me. Plenty of times I've, when I got a role or I have a character that I need to get into, like literally become that character as Chris was talking about in different ways, but I lose myself in the character. Some people call that method acting. Some people say that's not the technical term for that, but I have to take sometimes when the role is really extreme. I remember on several roles when they are very extreme, I need a couple days to reset and to become myself again. I know somebody who uses some interesting strategies to become that character, and that does a really unique psychological thing to the person who's an actor. When you take your acting seriously, you need a few days to become yourself again, basically, is what I'm saying. And that can be both a great thing and a time-consuming thing, but it really helps you make that worthwhile as far as answering your question goes. When you become somebody else, it is an escape and an adrenaline rush. It's a whole different world. It's really unique.
So then that brings us to a very easy question, I think. It's not going to be a specific. There's not one solid answer for this question, but here it is. What is the best age to start acting? I'm going to put out there, I'm going to say 21. That's where I'm going to say now. They're both like, it's like I would still wouldn't be doing the thing. So what do you guys think? What's the best age to start acting? Give me a range. 4, 5, 4.5, something like that.
It's unique.
I just think, I would say I think it's unique. I just think it kind of depends when it piques your interest. I just think when it piques your interest and it kind of calls to you, listen to that little voice that's tempting you to do it. And I think that is kind of the great age, whether that's when you're, 5 or 6 or whether that's when you're 72, I think there's not really a correct age. I think anyone can do it.
Okay. I got a question. I don't even know what this question really means yet. So maybe you guys could help me out. That's not the one. It's this one right here. What is your favorite stylized acting? I don't know what that even means because I'm not an actor. So I'm going to have to rely on you guys having the slightest clue of what stylized acting is. What is that?
I think that's an Eric question, to be honest. I don't know what stylized acting is.
You got this, Chris. You got this, man.
I'm going to say freestyle, rapping style, ballroom dance style.
Can we get clarification from
Sky, can we get clarification as to what is your favorite stylized acting? We'd love to answer that question. I just don't know what it means. Maybe it's like different,
like a role, maybe like a style of a genre, like how Chris was talking about a cowboy role, or you're talking about like
it could be that. It could be like a Meisner approach. It could be a different style. It could be one of these. I'm not sure. So let's get clarification. Sky, if you can send us the clarification on that, happy to answer that question. Okay, here we go. Got another question for you. Did any of you go to acting school or a place like a conservatory of music to hone that craft? Anybody do that? Chris is like, nope.
Aside from acting coaches and stuff, I've never been to like a school just simply dedicated to it. I've just done mostly workshops or classes with other people, but never, I guess, a school dedicated to that.
Same here.
Okay. Eric, how about you? You got a formal education there?
I know several people who have formal educations in acting, and they get just as many gigs as those who haven't had that formal education. I think it's unique to everybody. They chose that path as far as their scholastic endeavors versus those who just, choose it in a different way, but they both still work in the same industry. So schooling, in my opinion, is unique for everybody.
Fantastic answer. Sky's got a clarifying response. She said, styles like Shakespeare or naturalism. Again, I still don't know what that means.
Well, Shakespeare. Are you referring to stage acting, Sky?
Yeah, it seems like because like Shakespearean stylized acting. So, yeah, I would say you got your naturalism, you got your Shakespeare, you've got. That feels more like stage questions. Is it like more like for theater? Do you guys do much in theater, or is it mostly just for the screen?
Yeah, I'm mostly on the screen. I haven't done acting for a long time. I mean, stage acting.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I've always been screen.
It's a good question, though. I see where she's coming from that. I would say to complement the question, as mentioned, there's a style of acting called method acting, which is actually a term people throw around very loosely. And you can look into that, Sky, if you'd like, and you'd find some pretty cool golden nuggets within that, because there's a lot of opinions regarding that matter and different schools of thought within that. It's really cool, really unique.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Moosa's got a question over here. I like this. As a kid, acting is kind of tough. Kids sometimes they get on board and not wanting to do it anymore. What keeps you guys motivated as acting? You know, kids, they want to do a lot of different things, right? They want to go off. They have a lot of hobbies. They got their friends. They maybe don't want to. What was that, Eric?
I was saying, Moosa's kids get all the gigs anyway.
They do. But they might be getting burned out, right? They might be saying, you know what? I want to go play with my friends. I want to be on the computer. I want to watch a movie, not be in a movie. I want to go do something else. How do you fight that urge just to say, you know, I don't want to do this anymore? Like, how do you push through that? Or, you know, because you guys are still doing it. So you guys are pushing through it. So how do you do that? Go ahead, Eric. You don't have to raise your hand. You can just talk. It's okay.
I just say that's a great question, Musa. That's a parenting question, really, because as far as my dad is concerned and his upbringing, and there's a lot of childhood actors I worked with recently with the Lawrence brothers, Mistletoe Mix-Up, and I chatted with them, and their childhood consisted of very supportive parents and getting them in the industry very young, and the TV shows that they were on, and there's plenty of times. And it has a lot of effect on, when you get older and things like that. And a lot of people I've met, it's kind of a half and half, but for the most part, those who are very much in their later years in life and have been in the industry their entire life have always questioned what it would be like to not be in that. And I think that if you give them a chance to choose for themselves, they'll never blame you for that. They'll be able to say that they made their own choice. As far as, talking through from my dad and my conversations with him, he didn't really have much of a choice. He's tried to live his childhood through his kids, and that reflected on me. And so there's just a lot of different, I would think as long as they feel like it's their choice, then they had that freedom to, that connects your relationship even better with them too. Just saying, I'm not a parent yet, but that's what I would say.
Being a parent's awesome. They're a pain in the butt sometimes, but it's awesome. All right. I got a comment over here I really liked. It's just following up with what we were just talking about there. Angie says, acting is one of the many activities that Jagger does. He would definitely get bored with just one hobby. So don't have work be your hobby. And this is coming from a guy who's done this for a long time. Don't let work be your hobby. Find something else, whether it's skateboarding, whether it's video games, whether it's hiking and camping, some sort of adrenaline sport, whether it's reading, writing, drawing, painting, cooking, anything. Find something outside of this industry that's a fun hobby that gives you a little bit of opportunity to refocus. At least that's my 2 cents on that. Musa seems to appreciate it right there. So good on you, Eric. He likes that one. We have another question from Sky. What is the best place to start with gigs? I'm assuming that means getting started, like finding the gigs, finding those paid gigs. Or where do you guys go to find your paid gigs? How do you guys get those?
Agencies. That's got to be my answer. It's just, you got to find a good agency. That's, I'd say, one of the most important things of being an actor. You don't need one. I would highly recommend it, especially for a young actor. They get an agency because most of the time, you'll be getting reputable work and it'll be safer for your kid. And yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, real quick, just so that we can hear it from each one of you guys. So if somebody's watching this on the replay and they're like, man, I want to book Chris, but how do I do that? Where do people how do people book you guys? Who you guys repped with, I guess is the best way to put the question. Chris?
I'm currently with TMG.
That's right. TMG. Kayli?
I'm with Michelle Christensen, which is Stars in FX Management.
Okay. And Eric?
Yep, with Michelle as well. She's great.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. You could tell Sky is just really loving the information drops you guys are doing. So she has another follow-up. Do you have to pay agencies up front? That's a great question. This gets answered a lot in the Utah filmmakers group, especially for someone who's just starting out. But let's put it out there to the actors. Do you guys have to pay your agency up front for them to rep you?
With my personal experience with Michelle, she has been absolutely amazing, and she doesn't charge that upfront fee. You start paying her once you start booking jobs, and they take, a very small percentage. But I think Michelle's great in the way of she doesn't immediately take that money from you. So you kind of know she's in it for the right reasons.
Very good.
Yeah, shout out to Michelle. She's fantastic. There's a wait list to work with her for sure, but she is truly incredible. Best choice ever made joining with her. And
TMG has a huge reputation as being one of the most professional agencies in the state. So, Chris is right. It's like having somebody in your corner to rep you for those gigs is huge. You could go onto a group like Utah Filmmakers, and you can, apply for all those jobs that are coming through. But why limit yourself? Why limit yourself to only what's being offered online when you can have somebody who is financially invested in your success? So something to think about. Musa has another follow-up here. This one is for all of you. As an actor or actress, sometimes when they don't get the role, they feel like they shouldn't try to do audition anymore, kind of like giving up. What would you tell them to work on in that case? That sounds, again, this is trying to bridge that parenting role and a coach at the same time. But what is the advice that you would like to hear or you have been given so that you don't give up when you're getting discouraged?
I think, kind of backtracking off something that Eric said earlier, is it is a numbers game. Auditioning is a numbers game, and you could book your very first audition, or it could take you 150 auditions to book your very first job. And so I think it's just realizing that a lot of the time it's not you, that casting directors are looking for a very specific look. And so you could go out there and you could have a great audition, but you just happen not to fit that exact description that they're looking for. Like, it could be for blue eyes and you have brown, and they're very specific on that type of thing. And so I think don't let yourself get discouraged and just keep working hard, because eventually that audition will roll around that's meant for you, and you'll do great and you'll book it.
Sounds good to me. You guys feel about the same way?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't take it personally, because kind of like Kayli said, there's like a million things they're going to be looking at. And if you don't fit one of them, that could cost you the role. Even if you did best performance of your life, if there's something like slightly off with your physical appearance that is not in line with the character, then it wasn't meant to be. So you really can't take it personally, because that's going to happen more times than not.
That's right. So like when Eric gets told, sorry, you're just not a 300-pound fat guy with a beard, you're not going to get that role. Come on over here. I'm not an actor. Don't even try. I'm not going to be able to do it for you. There's plenty of people who look like me, especially here in Utah. We all like our bacon. Okay, got another question here. Oh, this is another agency question. Did you have to audition for your rep? Oh, good question. Or did they just say, no, Chris is just awesome. He doesn't need to audition. Did you guys have to audition for your representation?
Yeah, I actually did. So I have an agency in LA. I have two agencies in LA, one for more theatrical work and one for commercial. I had to audition for both of those. And I believe I had an audition for TMG as well. It's been a little while, so I can't remember. But at all three of those agencies, they wanted me to come in and just interview me and also have a piece prepared, a monologue of some sort. So I had to audition for all 3 of my agencies, even if they did request me. Like, they're like, hey, we want you to come so we can like check you out. I still had to audition.
I like that. And that's probably just doing the checks and balances right there. I said, we know that you can do it. We've seen the work, but we want to actually see you do it in person and see, because as we talked earlier, when you're doing those virtual auditions, you can sit there and do 100 takes, right? Mm-hmm. But can you be that person that can nail it in the first 1 or 2? And that's what a lot of the agencies will want to know. And then they'll want to just get a sense of who you are as a person. Make sure you're not just going to waste their time. All those things are important. That only happens with a one-on-one. So hopefully that was helpful, Ella. Guys, do you have any last pearls of wisdom? We've gone over an hour, and I did tell you we were only going to do an hour, and I apologize if we've gone over on that. But do you guys have any pearls of wisdom that you want to drop to inspire those young filmmakers that are looking at making this a career before we sign off for the day?
I think the best piece of advice that I can give is just keep pushing, keep working hard, because your hard work is going to pay off. And if this is something that you really, really want to do, keep working towards it, because you will see those payoffs and it'll work out.
Excellent. Chris, what do you got?
Yeah, keep going at it. Don't get discouraged, because you never know when you're going to find the role that was made just for you. It's out there. I'm still looking for mine. I think everyone is, but there's always going to be one thing that it's always just out of reach. So don't go until you do reach it. It's out there for you.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Chris to get that Western role. And then Eric, what is that pearl of wisdom you got for us?
I would say a couple of things that go together. One, you are kind of your own worst enemy, and you are the one usually in your own way. And so I would complement that with saying, you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to think this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I'm going to glue myself to this, and if it doesn't work out, then my life's over. A lot of people take that to the extreme, and I don't think you have to do that, especially in this industry or in any industry. You just do it, and if it feels right, you got to listen to yourself. That's what it comes down to. Do it for you.
I like that. I like this thing from Sean here as well. My favorite role is my next one.
That's great.
Isn't that the truth? Guys, thank you so much. Just want to thank my guests again, Eric Edward Garcia, Kayli Brummer, and Eric Osmond. Thank you guys so much about talking about acting, starting off, growing up acting and making this your career. I think a lot of people were able to get a lot of great information. You guys helped them with talking about career advice, talking about how to get into the thing, how to get their auditions started, how to face rejection, how to face bullies at school. We talked about a lot of things right here, and we're going to be talking about more, but thank you guys so much, because next week we're going to do something totally different. Next week we're going to be talking to actors that really didn't even start their career until they were in their 50s. So it's completely different from what we were talking about this week. It's happening on Friday at 7 o'clock. Guys, thank you one more time. And if you guys have any other comments you would like to message our folks here, Chris and Eric and Kayli, they're all on Facebook. You can find them there. Also I think you all have Instagrams as well. Reach out to them. You heard who their agencies are if you want to work with them. And I think that's going to do it for us right there. Thank you so much one more time, guys, and we'll see you next week. Take care.